The Quran was revealed in 7 ahruf, or 7 ways, which is to make it easier for Arabs to learn and understand the Quran, especially in the early periods, to spread the message as much as possible among as many Arabs as possible. And so, in Surah Al-Fatiha, for example, this ayah is revealed as Maliki Yawmiddin and Maliki Yawmiddin. But then, have you ever wondered if there are other ways to recite this ayah, if there is indeed 7 ahruf? I mean, where is the rest? Well, there are indeed other forms for this ayah, like Malika Yawmiddin, Malki Yawmiddin, Maliki Yawmiddin, and Malaka Yawmiddin. So these are 4 forms for the same ayah. But what happened to them? Why aren't they included in the Qira'aat of the Quran that we have today? Well, the answer for this question is one word: tawatur. So, what is tawatur? Simply put, it is transmitting a narration by a trusted large group of narrators to a trusted large group of narrators, generation after generation. So it is basically defined by the impossibility of conspiracy or collective mistake of narrators, because of the sheer number of people in every level of narration. In the case of the Quran, this report is not just words, but also sound. So how each sound is recited. So it includes idgham, mad, imala, ishmam, etc. So each sound and each word of the Quran as we have it today reached us with tawatur from the Prophet, peace be upon him, with the impossibility of tampering or alteration. And this is how we know for sure that these 2 ways of recitation are indeed Quran narrated with tawatur. But this cannot be said about the other versions. To better understand what I'm saying, let's look at this example. This version here is in the qira'ah of Al-A'mash an Al-Muttawwi'i, and the chain of narration came through Ibn Mas'ud, who learned it from the Prophet, and it is recited like this: Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim Malika Yawmiddin. However, since this version was narrated only by Ibn Mas'ud, it lacked tawatur, and so the Sahaba did not accept it when compiling the Quran at the time of Uthman ibn Affan, may Allah be pleased with him. But now is an important question. How is it that only Ibn Mas'ud knew of it? What about the other Sahaba? And what if it was indeed Quran? Well, when the Quran was revealed in 7 ahruf, as the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, he also said, فَأَيُّمَا قَرَأْتُمْ أَصَبْتُمْ. He also said, فَأَيُّمَا حَرْفٍ قَرَأُوا عَلَيْهِ فَقَدْ أَصَابُوا. And كُلُّهَا شَافٍ كَافٍ. And all of this means, whichever one you read, it is sufficient. And so, you only need to know one way of recitation. One is enough. You don't have to know all of them. And so when the Sahaba were given a choice, they chose. Some choices were more popular and more used than others. So they were known among more Sahaba. And when new Muslims came in, they heard the choices of the Sahaba. And so the less chosen ways became less and less chosen, until it was only used by one or just a handful of people. And since Ibn Mas'ud was one of the earliest of the Sahaba at the very beginning, as he was ranked as the 6th to become Muslim, he has heard so much of the Quran in many different ways from the Prophet, peace be upon him. So that's why there are ways that not many Sahaba used or heard. And since the criteria of compiling the Mus'haf were incredibly high, such narrations by only just one person were not accepted. And this has nothing to do with Ibn Mas'ud himself. In fact, he is in 3 chains of narrations of the confirmed Qira'at today, 2 chains to Asim and 1 chain to Khalaf. But not every harf he mastered had tawatur in all of its levels for the reasons we just mentioned. Therefore, such ways of recitation remained, but they now belong to a category called Al-Qira'at al-Shadh, or in English, the irregular qira'at. And so we have al-qira'at al-mutawatira, which have been narrated from the Prophet, peace be upon him, by a large number of Sahaba to the next generation and to the next and so on. And we also have al-qira'at al-shadha, which have been narrated from the Prophet, peace be upon him, but by only a handful of people, or in some cases by just one single Sahabi, because it was not popular or chosen by many Sahaba. And so the scholars said that such qira'at cannot be called Quran, and you cannot pray or perform any ibadah using them, since they don't have the same high standards as the Quran. But now you might be wondering, why does such qira'at still exist? Well, a big misconception on the irregular qira'at, al-qira'at al-shadh, is that they must be discarded or thrown away. But that is not true. These qira'at are very useful in many ways, and at the very least they have the same degree as the authentic hadith, al-hadith al-sahih. So they have many applications and uses. They're used for matters of aqidah, fiqh, and even for tafsir. Let's see some examples for each to really understand their uses and appreciate them. For aqidah, as in Surah Al-Insan, we read, وَإِذَا رَأَيْتَ ثَمَّ رَأَيْتَ نَعِيمًا وَمُلْكًا كَبِيرًا. In one irregular qira'ah, وَإِذَا رَأَيْتَ ثَمَّ رَأَيْتَ نَعِيمًا وَمَلِكًا كَبِيرًا. And this adds the meaning of you will see pleasure and the grand king, which is used as one of the proofs that we, insha'Allah, may see Allah in paradise. And as for its uses in fiqh, it was used in understanding and clarifying the ayah of inheritance. وَإِن كَانَ رَجُلٌ يُورَثُ كَلَالَةً أَوْ امْرَأَةٌ وَلَهُ أَخٌ أَوْ أُخْتٌ. Now, in an irregular qira'ah, we have the addition وَلَهُ أَخٌ أَوْ أُخْتٌ مِّنْ which clarified the meaning of the ayah in relation to the hukm in this case. It is also used in tafsir, in giving a new dimension and shed lights on certain meanings of the ayat of the Quran that we already know, like in this example. لَقَدْ جَاءَكُمْ رَسُولٌ مِّنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ. In an irregular qira'ah, instead of مِّنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ, from among yourselves, it is مِّنْ أَنفَسِكُمْ, which means from among your best. So أنفسكم means your best. And in Surah Yusuf, when the other women saw Yusuf and cut their hands, they said, وَقُلْنَ حَاشَ لِلَّهِ مَا هَذَا بَشَرًا. In an irregular qira'ah, it is read مَا هَذَا بِشِرًا, from shira', which means that he cannot be a slave to be bought and sold. One final example. قَالَ عَذَابِي أُصِيبُ بِهِ مَنْ أَشَاءُ. In an irregular qira'ah, it is read أُصِيبُ بِهِ مَنْ أَسَاءُ, which means I afflict with it who did evil. So, irregular qira'at, or al-qira'at al-shadh, are not just to be hidden and never used or spoken of, but they can be as useful as the ahadith of the Prophet, peace be upon him, as long as they have an authentic line of narration to the Prophet, peace be upon him. But their most important thing about them is that they are themselves a proof to the rigorous standards according to which the Quran we have today has reached us, without any degree of doubt. Finally, this lesson is based on several researches and books, which you will find in the description of this video. So check them out if you want to learn more information. If there are some parts of this lesson which you want to learn more about, or have separate videos on them highlighting them even more, Then let me know in the comments and I'll include them in future videos, insha'Allah. Thanks for watching. If you want to start reading and understanding the Quran in Arabic, then you should start your journey right here. And don't forget to check out my latest book, which goes perfectly with this free course. I'll leave the links for all of them in the description, so check them out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.